United, Center State Bank, Firkins Automotive, Gettle Automotive, LawPay, Oak and Stone, and Lucente Associates. I have today with me as a guest, she's shadowing me, Barbara Federico, Grace Ann's daughter, so I wanted to introduce her. Grace Ann wants me to tell you what I always tell you, that make sure you're reading your weekly e-blast, news you can use for events and updates, and following us on Facebook. Dues renewals have been sent out via email, so please check your emails. If you do pay your dues by July 30th, 2020, you will be entered into a drawing for a $100 Amazon gift card. As you know, the Manatee County Bar Association has added 2 virtual meetings over the summer. Typically, we don't have meetings, but in an age of COVID, we thought we should do so, and we have some great programs planned. Today, we have our 4 county court candidates as our guest speakers. On Wednesday, August 26th, we will have Judge Bonner, our Chief Judge, will be joining us as our guest speaker, so please stay tuned for those details. Today's virtual meeting is a chance for us to hear from the 4 candidates running for county court, for the county court seat. The candidates are Melissa Gould, Connie Medeiros-Jacobs, Chris Pratt, and Christy Zena. They will be presenting in alphabetical order, and each candidate will have 10 minutes to speak on whatever topic they would like, and we will not be entertaining questions. I will be the timekeeper, or young Barbara here will be. I'll give you guys warning at 9 minutes, and I'd like to introduce with our first candidate, Melissa Gould.
Thank you so much for having me and for hosting, and I see a lot of familiar faces here. It's nice to see you, and thank you for taking your civic responsibility so seriously. I thought I would use my 10 minutes to just tell you all a little bit about myself. My name is Melissa Gould. My friends call me Missy. I went to law school in New York, and while I was there, I had the phenomenal experience of interning for a judge. And that sealed the deal for me. I knew then that this is something that I wanted to do. And then everything that came next for me was strategically planned to make me a well-rounded candidate for this job. After law school, I did go ahead and I went to the University of Cambridge for my master's degree. And we all know that that's not something that you need to do to be a lawyer, but I did that just to have a deeper understanding and appreciation for law. While at Cambridge, I wrote a master's thesis. My thesis did focus on United States constitutional issues and criminal procedure issues. When I graduated, I moved to the Tampa Bay area. I started working in civil litigation at a large insurance defense firm. And so I did a broad spectrum of different things, contract disputes. When an employer was accused of discrimination, we came to his defense, malpractice actions. We represented condo associations, homeowner associations, things of that nature. During that time, I had the good fortune of meeting my husband, Ryan Jawitz. He wasn't yet finished with school, so we ended up moving to Michigan for him to complete his residency in dermatology. We were there for 3 years. While in Michigan, I continued to work in civil litigation. I also volunteered at the University of Michigan's Innocence Clinic, and we all know that that has the important mission of helping to exonerate those who have been wrongfully convicted. I did some work in federal court handling consumer protection cases as they related to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, and I had the opportunity to teach at a very large university called Oakland University, and specifically I taught family law, judicial process, and constitutional law. When Ryan graduated, we moved to Manatee County. It made sense for us to live here. Ryan grew up here. My in-laws, Paula and Dr. Jack Jawitz, have been here for close to 40 years. My father-in-law has been in the same building on 26th Street for a very, very long time, and it sort of looks it, actually. Since moving back, I have had 2 children. My oldest goes to public school in Lakewood Ranch. And when we moved here in 2012, I started working at the state attorney's office. So since that time, I have dedicated my career to serving our community in the courtroom as a prosecutor. And I've handled a wide range of different types of criminal prosecutions, thousands and thousands, from misdemeanors to felonies, So from, domestic battery, petty theft, to driving under the influence. I was humbled a few years ago to have been recognized by Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, the Florida chapter, for my work in prosecuting DUI cases. Some of the felonies that I've worked on, it's been a lot of different types, but grand theft, drug trafficking, child abuse, sexual battery, exploitation of the elderly, white collar crime, animal cruelty cases. And just in June, I was honored to have been recognized by the Humane Society of Manatee County for the work I do as it relates to animal cruelty prosecutions. I have several accomplishments that I'm proud of at the state attorney's office. I am really proud of the fact that since 2012, crime rate in the 12th Judicial Circuit has gone down by over 50%. And I'm not taking credit for that. Obviously, it's 100% a collaborative effort between our office and different law enforcement agencies and community partners. But I like to think that I contribute meaningfully to that statistic. I do regularly host or lecture at different seminars, and the focus is usually on helping people to better investigate and identify crime. In February, right before COVID hit and events started being canceled, I did host a pretty large scale, and you all were invited as members of the bar, seminar with the Sheriff's Office and with the Office of Statewide Prosecution that was geared towards fraud that affects our Florida seniors. So I am proud of that. I also right now am considered a special intake prosecutor. So I do handle the complex white collar cases and elderly exploitation, elderly abuse and neglect, those things. And there's one of me in Sarasota, and he's my counterpart. And between the two of us, we calculated since 2018, we have had ordered back in criminal restitution close to $5 million to victims who have had that monetary loss. And so we're proud of that. In my personal life, I do also do a lot of community service. Volunteerism is just something in my DNA. When I was younger, I was a youth representative on my hometown's volunteer center board of directors. In that capacity, I helped recruit young volunteers and make them lifelong volunteers. Present day, I am a volunteer consultant for the Florida Israel Business Accelerator, and that initiative is one that aims to bring innovation and new technology and jobs to our local community. Since COVID hit, I have been calling isolated seniors that are members of my synagogue, and I'm a little bit of a lifeline to them and maybe a source of entertainment. I also am a frontline worker for Meals on Wheels. I do a delivery route through them, and I find that to be very, very rewarding. As it relates to endorsements, when I put my name in the hat for this race, I did receive a community outpour of support, which I thought was amazing, and I really do appreciate that. I have made the personal choice to not publish my endorsements or make them a feature of my campaign. As I'm sure you all are well aware, what happened a few years ago and the negativity that was circulating, and the judge that had to recuse himself from several criminal trials. I just personally want to run, if I'm elected, my courtroom like I am running this campaign, one that is free from any appearance of bias or any appearance of impropriety. And I don't want anyone to walk into my courtroom and think that I have an alliance with a large group of people or a unit of government. But I am very appreciative of the support. I do hope that I have earned your trust here today. I am very accessible. If you want to reach out to me with any questions, I do encourage you to do that. Please call my cell, 941-219-5600. And thanks again for having me.
Thank you very much, Melissa. We really appreciate having you. And next is Connie Medeiros-Jacobs. Connie?
Hello, good afternoon. And I also thank you all for having an opportunity, giving us an opportunity, the four of us, to address you all. Because as you know, there's no meet and greet, there's no knocking on doors, there's no opportunity to reach out to people who may be influential in telling their friends or family members about us as a candidate. So I appreciate this forum. Most of you know me. I can't see everybody on the screen, but most of you know me because I've been here for 31 years. I was sworn in by Judge Boylston in September of 1989. I've been practicing here in Manatee County since then. I was a prosecutor in the New Orleans office for 4 years, and I started off in the juvenile division, and I worked my way up to felonies. And in the felony division, after having many juvenile trials and many misdemeanor trials, from simple batteries to DUIs to trespassing, I actually helped out in the grand jury. I also did several murder trials. So in 1993, I opened up my own practice, and I took everything that came in the door. For those of you who are in the audience, I'm sure you know what that's like, to hang out a shingle and take anything to pay the bills and keep the lights on. So that's what I did. I did civil. I did everything from landlord-tenant to homeowners association disputes, barking dogs. And then I decided in 1995 that I was able to buy my own building, and I'm still here across the street from the courthouse since 1995. I did a lot of family law initially, and I did a lot of criminal defense. I started taking on federal criminal work, and about 10 or so years ago, I decided to divide up my practice, and I concentrate only on criminal defense. On occasion, I have to represent someone in a family matter or a civil issue because I'm already representing them in the criminal arena. So most of the family law is taken over by my husband, Larry Jacobs, so he focuses on family and I focus on the criminal. In the criminal defense arena, I have done everything from juvenile crime, again, to plenty of murder cases, capital rape, and in federal court, I've done a lot of drug trafficking. And as a matter of fact, I have practiced law in every federal district in the state of Florida, southern, middle, and northern. I've even had a trial in Washington, D.C. that spanned 4 months. And for those of you who do federal work, there's nothing like having half a million documents presented to you on the eve of trial, and the judge refuses to grant you a continuance, even though you just got hit with 500,000 pieces of evidence. At any rate, we were able to win that case. We got a hung jury, and at the end, the Department of Justice dropped the charges against our client. I spent a lot of time in Manatee County courts. I've also spent a lot of time in the 20 districts here that we have, 20 circuits we have here in Florida. I have cases in every circuit in the state of Florida, misdemeanors and felonies. So I'm pretty well aware of judicial decorum. I have seen some of the best judges. I've had the honor of appearing in front of judges who have been patient, professional, thoroughly prepared, know the law, know the issues, and are respectful. It is so important to me to have a level playing field. Everyone knows in an adversarial system, somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. But if you have a judge who's fair, impartial, and is knowledgeable, and listens to the evidence, listens to the testimony, listens to your client, whether you win or lose isn't so much the issue. You know that you've been treated fairly and your client has been treated fairly. Like I said, I've had the honor to be in front of some of the best judges who demonstrate those qualities. I unfortunately have also, in my experience across the state of Florida, have seen judges who do not possess those qualities. And I've learned from them as well, because in running for judge, I can assure the voting public that I will be fair, I will be impartial, but most of all, I will have respect for the people who come into the courtroom, whether they're educated, whether they're represented or not. And in county court, you have a lot of people who are not educated in the rules of criminal procedure, are not familiar with proper courtroom decorum, and can't afford private counsel, and for some reason either choose not to have a public defender or don't qualify. I can assure the voting public that I will be fair and I will make sure that there's a level playing field. On occasion, I've had to bring up Brady motions. That's because I insist on a level playing field. The evidence has to be produced that the state has, and sometimes the state fails to produce that kind of evidence that's in their possession. So I know how important it is to be in a level playing field. I should tell you a little bit about my background for those of you who don't know me for these last 31 years. I'm of Cuban descent. I'm second generation. My grandparents came from Cuba in the early 1900s. My grandfather served in the U.S. Army in World War I. My father was born in Ybor City. I was born in Ybor City. I'm bilingual. I was raised in a Cuban neighborhood. I'm bilingual, and I can tell you that I did some research on the Manatee County bench, and there has never, ever been a minority on the Manatee County bench, ever. There's never been a brown person, a black person, an Asian person. I tell you that I feel that it's time. It's time for diversity on the bench. It's time for our bench to reflect the diversity that's in our community. We have many, many people who come into our courtroom and only see white faces. I'm not saying that any of our judges are racist or unfair because they're not Hispanic or not black or not Asian. I'm saying that it's time for diversity to be reflected in our bench. So not only do I feel that I'm the most qualified, certainly the most experienced, I've had more trials in 31 years than any of my opponents. There's a lot to be said for settling cases. There's a lot to be saying to know when there's a good offer on the table. But I go to trial and I'm in the trenches all the time. I don't hesitate to go to trial. It would be wonderful if Manatee County could catch up with Sarasota County and have diversity on the bench. It's time. It's 2020, people. As far as my volunteer work, I have served on the boards of Habitat for Humanity, Temple Beth Israel, United Way. I have volunteered my services to mock trial competitions, moot court as well. I also donate a lot of my time as pro bono as an attorney for individuals who need the services of an attorney but can't afford one and also are not familiar with the culture, the language, or the law. I'm appointed sometimes by judges who will call me and ask me to represent a case who are in that category. My latest appointment was by Judge Hall in Arcadia, representing a very young child who had been sexually trafficked and fed drugs from the age of 8 and now suffers from mental illness. So I'm representing him in Arcadia because he started to act out sexually and came to the attention of law enforcement. So I do that routinely for any of the judges. And my only criteria is that I not be put on a list so that I can pick and choose those cases that I'm representing. And most of them are Hispanic. I don't know where I am on my time, but I don't know how many minutes I have left.
You're at 7:50.
Oh, okay. So I can continue to bore these people. I'm supported by the Florida State Association of Florida State Troopers. For those of you who are not aware, it's a statewide organization and they represent Florida Highway Patrol. So I've had the honor of being supported by them. I'm also supported by many of the small minority businesses here in Manatee County. I've gone door to door practically on every small business that I could find, and they have given me their support and willingly let me put up huge signs on their properties and some not so huge in order to show their support for me. So I think it's important that the voters know that. Thank you very much. Thanks for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for speaking to us. Next is Chris Pratt.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Great. Once again, like everyone else, thank you for having us. I don't think I have 10 minutes worth, and you're probably all taking a big sigh over that. I'm 62 years old. I'm a lifelong resident of Manatee County. I graduated from Bayshore High School. I went to college at Lenore College in Hickory, North Carolina, and I graduated from Stetson University. In 1984, I started my practice here in Manatee County in the same building where I practice in today, here in Palmetto. My practice has emphasized over the course of these 36 years, criminal, family, a little bit of personal injury, and some county court, county civil, and small claims. When you look at my practice, unlike some of the others, my practice has been focused in Manatee County. In the early 90s, I went as far north as Tampa and as far south as Fort Myers. But starting about 1992, it would have been a rare moment for me to leave Manatee County. During that time, I used to represent a rental company, and I've done hundreds of contested foreclosures in the past. I've represented collections on both the debtor and the creditor. I've done appeals. I've done 1 million family law cases, and probably more than 1 million. That's hyperbole, but I've done a large number of family law cases and an even larger number of criminal cases, stretching from first-degree murder all the way down to civil citations. My legal service to the community and my community service are as follows. In the 80s, I umpired Little League Baseball in Palmetto for several years. If you want a thankless task, you go umpire Little League Baseball. Thereafter, I was part of a large Boy Scout program rebuilding revetments out on Sneed Island so that the island wouldn't erode away. Thereafter, I started focusing on community service as it relates to the legal community. I was in the 90s, or excuse me, the 2000s, I was on the Indigent Service Committee. I was on the new courthouse committee. And anytime a judge ever retired, I seemed to be the person who called to raise money for the gift. Also, I did not one, but 2 cycles on the Florida Bar Grievance Committee, Committee 12B. This is another, I'm not going to say it's a thankless task because you are doing something that's very important to the legal community and the community at large, but it's hard work. Sometimes you see people you know and like in front of the committee and it's really gut-wrenching work, but it needs to be done. And I suggest to each of you, if you have an opportunity to be on the grievance committee, you should do a cycle because you're actually doing a service to the community. Lastly, I want to tell you 2 stories about Chris Pratt, which I think illustrate who I am. In 2016, there was something the Florida Bar started called Vision 2016. It had many, many good goals. It also had a less publicized goal of, let's see if we can't get reciprocity going here in Florida and allow attorneys from other states, if they met minimal qualifications, start practicing in Florida. Well, I can tell you, I did not think that reciprocity was good for the lawyers of the state of Florida or good for the citizens of the state of Florida. I didn't want people retiring from Chicago or Los Angeles or New York coming down here, going to their condominium and opening a practice. I didn't think that was appropriate. So when I found this out, what did I do? I got on my computer and sent an email to everybody on my list in Manatee County saying, hey, you need to do something. You need to call Scott Westheimer, send him an email, tell him we're against reciprocity. And about 60 or 70 did. But I didn't stop there. I went on the bar's website and harvested every website from every attorney in Pinellas County. And I sent Pinellas County lawyers an email saying, this is what's going. If you don't want it, you need to respond. I didn't have them respond to Scott Westheimer, but I had them respond either their Board of Governor person or to the Vision 2016 website. And I didn't stop at Pinellas County. I did Hillsborough County, Lee County, Collier County, Charlotte County, Sarasota County, Polk County, and DeSoto County. As a result of that, over 800 responses were generated to the Florida Bar, and we beat reciprocity. I'm very proud of that. The reason I tell you that is because when I see a problem, when I see something, someone needs to stand up and do the work, I stand up and do the work. Let's talk about another thing that I'm very proud of in my profession. In the early 2000s, there was a judge who ran a pretty sketchy campaign. He might have said things that were true, but they were not written in context. Mark Lipinski and I put together the complaint with the JQC and the grievance complaint. Now, I will well admit that we had, I think, over 100 signatories on the JQC complaint. But Mark Lipinski and I were leading the pack on that. And Mark Lipinski and I believe, were the only ones that Judge McMillan kicked out of his courtroom and said, these guys, they can't appear in front of me. Why is this important? Because when it comes time for a tough decision, when something has to be done, it's not going to be easy. Chris Pratt will do it. That's why you should vote for Chris Pratt.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Next is Christy Zena.
Good afternoon. My name is Christy Zena, and I want to thank the Manatee County Bar Association for hosting us today. I grew up here in Manatee County. I am a graduate of Palmetto High School, And I have a degree, my bachelor's degree in American history from the University of South Florida, right up the road in Tampa. My law degree is from Stetson University, and that was also right up the road in Gulfport, Florida. I started off my career here in Manatee County as a prosecutor at the state attorney's office under Earl Moreland. And while I was there, I met my late husband, whom many of you knew and liked very much, Rory Zinna. After my time at the state attorney's office as a prosecutor, I transferred and then worked at the public defender's office, also here in Manatee County under Larry Eager. I literally got up from one table in the courtroom under Judge Ferentz at that time and walked over on Monday morning and sat at the other table under Judge Ferentz. After my time in government practice, I then transferred in 2013 to do civil litigation, and I have done civil or practiced civil law since 2013. In 2015, I opened my own law practice, the law office of Christy Zinna, and I've been here ever since. Last year, I was sent to Tallahassee as a nominee by the JNC to be considered as an appointment to the bench to replace the then retiring Judge Doug Henderson. And during that time of preparing for that interview with the governor's office, I pulled all the cases I had while I was in county court here in Manatee County and I had logged thousands of cases. I have first chaired thousands and thousands of cases in the county court of Manatee County and have logged thousands and thousands of hours. My membership in organizations include, I am, since 2006, a member of the Federalist Society. I am on the board of directors for Manatee Tiger Bay. I'm a member of the Manatee County Bar Association. I'm a member of the Florida Association of Women Lawyers. I'm probably forgetting a couple of things in here. I am also a member, and my community service includes Supporters of Law Enforcement, which is an organization that was started by Detective Nate Boggs, who was going through chemotherapy and cancer treatments at the same time as my late husband, Rory Zinna. And in fact, my children and I were among the first families to benefit from Supporters of Law Enforcement because my husband, having been a prosecutor, was considered law enforcement and still considered that at the time that he died by the Supporters of Law Enforcement. I now volunteer with Supporters of Law Enforcement in the capacity of offering grief support for the widows of those fallen officers. My other community service includes that I am on the 12th Circuit's pro bono attorney guardian ad litem list here in Manatee County. I have been on that list since 2013, and of course many of you are also on that list with me, and many of you know, and for those of you who do not, that includes being representing the best interest of children who are involved or entangled in high conflict family law cases. I enjoy, and I have always enjoyed, with my peers on both sides of the criminal law spectrum, a very good relationship, a very good working relationship. And I credit that from having been both a prosecutor and a public defender and a private criminal defense lawyer here in Manatee County. And that is a very rare combination to have on a legal resume. After my husband passed away, I received job offers from both the state attorney's office and the public defender's office in the same week, as a matter of fact, to come back and work for those organizations. And I felt all the honor of those job offers. I am happy to have a wide array of support in the legal community across the criminal law spectrum. And I have received endorsements across the legal criminal law spectrum. And in the interest of always being transparent, I will happily share with you those endorsements include Sheriff Rick Wells, the Police Benevolent Association, the Fraternal Order of Police, and on the criminal defense end of the spectrum, I'm also endorsed by the now sitting president and vice president of the Manatee County Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, and many of my peers and former coworkers at the Public Defender's Office. I am probably not going to take the entire 10 minutes, but I will conclude with I am patient, I am knowledgeable, I am very experienced for the seat for which I seek election, and I very much want your vote to be the next Manatee County Court Judge for Group 4. Thank you.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Christy. Thank you, everyone. that actually brings our virtual meeting to a close. Remember to vote. And when is the vote, folks?
August 18th, or if you have your mail ballot now, or early polling, August 8th through the 15th.
All right, thank you. We will see you next month when our speaker will be Chief Judge Kimberly Bonner, and that concludes our meeting. Thank you so much, everyone.